I am glad that I realized that I was muted thanks to your comments only 2-3 minutes in the starting of the event. So once again, welcome to this 50th event of the Singularity U Milan chapter. We are very proud of this event because it is the first that is on a global level. All the other events were in Italian to maximize the ability of those in Italy who don't speak English to participate. The reason this event is in English is because we have wonderful content and participants from outside of Italy. And the theme in particular of today is how the ability that we have to acquire and learn needs to be augmented. How we acquire information in times of increasing rates of acceleration. The Milan chapter submitted last year its impact project that was about this theme. It designed, implemented, and started using these tools of augmented learning. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. I am David Orban, and I am happy to have been able to break the ice and to introduce the event. But the activities of the chapter itself are going to be actually presented by not me, but by, if I can find it, an avatar that our friends at the chapter created. And hopefully you will both see and hear the avatar describing the chapter activities.
Thank you, David. Welcome to everyone, also from me. I am Andrea Di Samba, the first digital activist of Singularity Milan chapter. Singularity University is a global learning and innovation community that studies and uses exponential technologies to address the biggest challenges for the world. Our organization is flexible, unstructured, we are all volunteers and we love to experiment. We have an inclusive approach. It is possible to join the project by anyone who applies. Happy continuation.
Well, that was a very short presentation of the chapter, and it went well, much better than my start of the event. The event that we have today is covering actually several different platforms and media. Sometimes when we can, and that was definitely the case up to 3 years ago, we also meet physically, and it is a beautiful opportunity for everyone, the volunteers, the supporters of the chapter activities, the sponsors, and we are human. We like to meet in person as well. We are streaming on the various platforms where people can follow the event. And very importantly, this will be, of course, covered in much more detail. We developed at the Singularity U Milan chapter a specific container, a web-based application that enhances and illustrates the way that the learning process can be followed and actively participated through that. Since I would say half a dozen or so events, we also introduced an additional way that this can be that our events can be followed. And I invite our first guests, Enrico Ciliberti, to tell us about
Hello, David.
VR. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
This particular way is virtual reality, and
Yes.
I am happy to share your screen as soon as you set it up to allow you to tell us about how people can actively participate in virtual reality for our events.
It will be my pleasure to do so. So, can you see my screen now?
Absolutely. We can see it, and I also shared it with everyone else. The floor
Hello,
is...
everybody. So, as you can see, since we are seated in Milan, we are welcoming everybody in our wonderful place, which is also seated in Milan, exactly in front of the Duomo. So everybody here behind me, as you can see, is literally sitting there just watching at ourselves on the screen. Can you see?
Yep.
All around me. So people can actually experience the event as they prefer in virtual reality. They can sit here, talk with each other, and listening to us, watch us. But also there's other content, additional content in the other rooms, because this special place was built from the ground up for this event in particular. That's one of the main powers of virtual reality, in particular as applied in metaverses like this ones. People can just create places exactly for what they need. Well, that's pretty much all we're going to do for now, watching, staring at each other.
Well, I think that the ability of avatars, like our friend here is doing, to walk around and bump into each other, is a very interesting equivalent of meeting physically. And
Yes, you're totally right.
And that kind of digital proximity of spatial relationships is a sign of future interactions.
The main interaction in the future is going to be augmented with XR, but virtual reality is a portion of it. And as you said correctly, relationships in the metaverse are very special because it feels real, even though it's not technically real. It can be as immersive as possible to make people connect in real time as if they are there. Those people behind me, if they were to enjoy themselves with a computer, they can have one of the best experiences they can with both interaction and talking with each other. In addition to that, Spatial also support VR headsets. Therefore, what can I say? When you are inside with an headset, it just feels different because you are completely there. You can lose yourself in a world like this. You actually feel like you're in the right place with the right people. So connection is really boundless. The future is going to be so bright thanks to this technology.
So thank you very much, Enrico, for this brief presentation, and welcome to all our avatar friends in enjoying the event. The way that we work is to give you information about the topic, in this case, the way that we can learn in an accelerated, augmented fashion, but then also to discuss with you. And in order for the discussion to be lively, we are always collecting the questions, and either me or someone else will now translate this banner into English, because it should be in English. And what the banner says is, please go to the URL singularityumilan.com/quiz50 to post your questions and vote on questions from others, because we are not taking the questions in chronological order, but we are taking the questions, measuring the level of interest by the number of votes that the questions receive. So please go to singularityumilan.com/quiz50, post your questions, and vote on the questions from others. The app that the Singularity U Milan chapter designed and implemented is what is coming next. We have a fairly long video that our friends and our colleague Maria Nitto prepared. I am just quickly going to share this, and then you can actually watch the full video. We will post the URL of this video, and you can watch the whole duration. It talks a lot about it very much in detail. But in order to present the project and what were the design principles leading to the project itself, I invite Gianluigi. And Gianluigi also has a few slides. So please go ahead and tell about the augmented learning process app.
Thank you very much, and welcome everybody. So essentially, why do we learn and how we actually learn? Learning process deals in a nutshell with emotion and engagement. And this is the very core concept that we embedded in our project, in our augmented learning process app. How we did it and how we designed it. First, we started from the problem. As David mentioned, we are now at the 5th event. So the Milan chapter of the Singularity University usually monthly organizes events to discuss technological advancement and exponential technology. And previously, the features that we now find all embedded were separated. So essentially, these in some way created difficulties for the users and a dispersive environment in which users had to provide external links to lose track with the live streaming, and this was very dispersive. So what was the solution? As always, the simplest ideas are those that work better. So first of all, we should give credit to Roberto Crosignani that had the actual idea, and the solution was very simple. So to create a unique environment in which users, subscribers to the event could find all the tools, all the material to follow and to learn to learn the material and the topics and to follow the discussion of the event. So essentially, that was the great idea, to create a web app. As you can see by the slide, it has the shape of a smartphone app, but there's no need to install anything for the end user because it's just a web app. So by any broadband connection, it can be reached. How does it work? As previously mentioned, there are different phases and different environments. So originally, there was a physical environment on which we added the remote environment, even also because of the pandemic and all the remote working movement, let's say, shifting of environment. And as we also saw, the virtual reality. We have different phases, and the phases are asynchronous and synchronous. Asynchronous means that subscribers essentially have access to the web app, and usually 1 week in advance are provided with all the material, the basic knowledge material that they can study, they can go in, and this provide a basic literacy of the topic that allows also to go more in depth in the discussion during the live event. And the live event is the synchronous phase in which users and subscribers can actively interact. David mentioned Mentimeter and our way to address questions that can provide also statistics. And there's even a post-event phase in which subscribers could also network and directly discuss or comment, questioning the presenters. So the implementation of the web app works really easily. What does it mean? It means that it can be designed with a personalization feature to embed front-end design features for users, as well as different back-end design features for the administrations that provide the management of the tool. And this also implies that potential external users, give an example, an employer that wants to create a training on a specific topic for their employees could use the app in order to design the spatial environment and also provide the different physical, virtual reality and remote environments with further implementation of NFT certificates to certificate the participation. And regarding future development of our app, as the slide shows, there are many potential with the advent of generative AI. So, for instance, could be embedded features for real-time translating or a real-time chatbot for questioning the topics and deep in with a lateral search bar the different topics and arguments that the speakers treat. And so essentially the benefits is the efficacy for the learning process and a solution that is easily usable. It's sustainable even for small teams and is also scalable.
Gianluigi, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. Especially the last slide, I think is important because whatever we talk about is a continued experimentation. We completely understand that there will be mistakes made, just like the one I made at the beginning, and there will be new tools that we may not completely understand. Some of us have already seen a really exciting way that ChatGPT has been integrated in Khan Academy and how it allows students to ask questions to a personalized tutor that is not going to give the answer, but in a little bit of a Socratic manner will guide the students with additional questions. And I think that is a great example of maybe things that the next versions of the app is going to provide. In order to illustrate more about the app, here is Luca. And thank you, Gianluigi. You will be back with us talking about more shortly. But in the meantime, let's hear from Luca. What were the design principles and the open source approach that we used for the app? So, Luca, the floor is yours.
Thanks, David. So I'm showing you the actual implementation of the web app that you can find on app.singularityumilan.com. And we will briefly go into the main features of the web app. So let me start with this notification that to the most would look like a push notification that is not important and doesn't help you going through the study material and everything you find on the web app. But instead, this notification empowered a lot our chapter, because thanks to this, we managed to find a lot of people interested in what we were doing, and that wanted to join and contribute the chapter. Actually, almost all of the activists today came from this push notification. So it was a simple yet powerful idea that helped us grow with the chapter capabilities. So let me just dismiss it now because I'm already an activist. And I will go into first the homepage, where you can find the events that we already did in the past, and of course the event that is going on right now. So if you click on it, you can just see the description of the event. You can see who will attend to the event, the relators, moderators, along with their social media links or websites if they have. Then you will find the main part of the event, which is the live, and it is the YouTube embed of the live we are having. So if I start it, you will see me a few seconds before, and then I can move to Mentimeter, which is the way, as Gianluca and David were saying, in which we collect the audience sentiment and the audience thoughts about the event in particular. So I invite you to go here and vote for the questions that you will be presented. And as you can see down here, you can still see the live, and you will hear the video going on. So you kind of stay in the event even if you answer the questions. Then, last but not least, the study material, which is the material that we offer in advance of the event for people that want to look into the topic of the event and prepare themselves to give more targeted questions to the relators and the moderators. This study material will also be available after the event, so people can look into that whenever they want. And this is part of the augmented learning process, in which people can see and read and study more even after the event. Then we have, as John said, we have the NFT certificates. People can request a participation certificate to the event through an NFT. Right now, it's on Ropsten testnet, which has been deprecated recently from Ethereum, but we are planning to move it to another blockchain, which I will talk you soon. You see, we also have the link to the source code. Here, you can find the source code of the web app, along with all the necessary material to start a known version of the web app and eventually contribute to this version. So you can see all the source code, and you can also, as GitHub already offers the possibility, you can edit the code and propose new features to the app. You can also open new issues if you think that something is not going well, or if you don't know how to code but you want to contribute anyway. So I invite you also to do that. You can find the link also on the web app in the side menu to come to this page in the issues. Let me talk last about the roadmap. So as John said, we plan to offer this web app also as a service for people that, or chapters or companies that do not know how to code or don't have the capabilities. We would like to offer this as a service so that we can personalize it for them. And then, as David mentioned, we would like to integrate the new large language models like ChatGPT into our web app so that people can ask the chatbot to answer on particular topics regarding the event itself, or regarding more in general all the events that we did. We plan to transcribe all the past events and videos that we have on our YouTube channel, so that people can ask and talk to the event, let me say. Last but not least, again, will be the fact that we would like, and we are thinking of becoming and structuring the chapter in a form of a decentralized autonomous organization, which I invite you to dive deep in if you are interested in. But the idea is that anyone can contribute to the chapter by voting proposals on how to move the chapter and how to make it evolve in the time. Thanks to this, we will also use a blockchain that also offers the possibility to mint NFTs and host the actual website on the blockchain. So we want to become a fully decentralized organization that is empowered by people.
Luca, thank you very much for the presentation. And the app is really an interesting way also to help participants get on the various platforms that we are using. I was told in the backstage that actually it is not even necessary to show the URL to come and participate in the quiz, because everyone in the app can just with a single link join and vote and ask the questions and so on. So we are still straddling the two worlds, streaming and web app, and maybe one of the future events will be just completely on the web app itself. Now, let's have Gianluigi back to talk about another aspect of the design of the app. And Luca, thank you very much for your participation and contribution. That is concerning privacy. When we will integrate generative AI in the app, of course, we will ask ourselves other issues concerning ethics and the alignment of the AI with our objectives. But I think that the current concerns of being GDPR compliant is actually a great example of how designing an initiative to be compatible with existing laws, but also with the principles that regulators are expressing is important. Gianluigi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, David, also for the important introduction. Why? Because as a simple idea can be so disruptive, we wanted it to be innovative even in the approach to design the web app and how to do it in a legal manner. So by trying to aligning the compliance requirements with the creation of values for the project. What does it mean? First of all, I need to provide a step back about the conception of privacy and data protection, because in the EU we deal with both. And it's about data ownership. Why I mention it? I'm sure that the vast majority of you, I assume, that think about privacy in terms of property, the property of data. But this is a US conception and can create some friction with the alignment with the European values and regulatory frameworks, principles, and so on. Why? Because in the EU, privacy deals with dignity. Is data are an immaterial good, so you cannot sell something that doesn't exist. To provide an example, I cannot sell my name, because if I yelled it, I can still have rights about dignity, about exploitation on my name. So this is the very different differential conception, but drives the way in which we design technology. And here comes the implementation that we did. We tried to integrate and to embed by the very beginning privacy by design, which is the very principle of privacy by design, meaning that whoever design a project, whoever foresee the processing of personal data should foresee and design the whole process, the life cycle of the personal data from the very beginning to the end of the data, the destruction of the data, meaning also to understand how the data processing could impact the rights and interests of the users, of the individuals. And that what we did, also embedding privacy by default, which is the other pillar of the GDPR. Privacy by default means essentially that you don't have to opt out from options of tracking and personalizing and profiling, but you have to opt in. Means that you have from the very beginning to design your data processing as something that requires the minimum data, which is another principle about data minimization. But how to create value from that? If we deep in the concept of data minimization, is not about quantity, or at least is not only about quantity, is about the quality of data. And if we focus on the quality of data, even from a commercial perspective, which is fair because it's the other data flow is the other good protected by the GDPR, not only the protection of persons. So if we focus on the quality of the personal data, we can align the value proposition of any project. How to do it? By managing not only the design of the data processing, but also managing the data flow with all the principles that the GDPR provides. I cannot deep in them now because if not I go off time. But essentially, this implies to extracting value for both users and service providers, creating a win-win situation. And the example is that in a future implementation, as Luca mentioned, embedding AI features and so on, we could ask directly to users how they want to be profiled, which is a negative with a negative connotation, but for their value. So in order to learn better, and this can provide to the service provider more insights about the data and the data flow to design better the infrastructure. That's all for the moment.
Thank you, Gianluigi. I would like to call back Enrico to talk about the future of the VR experience and how it can be improved. What kind of interaction, maybe even integration, there can be with other modalities and other ways of learning about the app.
Okay, well, of course I'm here for that. Can you hear me properly right now?
Yes.
Okay, so since we are talking about the metaverse, I cannot stress the fact that being in a metaverse means exactly being there and meeting other people. So what we said before, the main features of the app can be completely and utterly copied in a 3D environment. So every aspect that we chose to say so far can be expanded into a very interactive world, which is similar to the one we already created today in spatial, for example. But with further implementations, it will be possible to completely rewrite the concept of interaction with a chapter, because just like we are connected in real time in a real life event, you are usually inside, you you raise your hand and somebody gives you the mic to talk to the chapter. So first and foremost, we tried so many times to do so without the Mentimeter app, or with the further implementation of it so that it works flawlessly in the VR environment. You can create a flawless connection between your users and the main speaker, so that in real time it can actually get answers and questions from people. But that's one very simple, and I mean very simple, way to interact using the metaverse. A very interesting way to use the immersive environment in these use cases, is, for example, to make all the extra content you want people to have during an event to further expand their knowledge. You can just put it there for others to be explored, because the idea is that people, when they want to learn something, they want to be curious about it. And what better way to be curious than to explore themselves across knowledge? You make a literal gallery full of all the extra content, and you feel like an explorer inside your own personal adventure, while you are still able to listen to the main chapter while he's talking to you. And of course, let's not deal with the fact that the main concept of the metaverse is that the main speakers can be inside of it in the form of an avatar, so you can literally interact with them even with your hands, feeling like you are there with them, because you can physically raise your own hand to talk to them, to make a question. So on one hand, the extra features is that you can expand your knowledge by exploring new content every day. And on the other, there is the human factor, which is either the speaker can be there with you and you can have a proper connection with him, or you can actually connect with other people while being in a immersive environment, which is already what we said before in every event of the metaverse. In the learning process, though, it's very important, as we said, to be interested and curious about what we're learning. And curiosity, and in the learning experience in an immersive environment, is 100% is increased tenfold. I might add.
Thank you, Enrico, for that. One criticism to the newest generations of VR platforms is that one of the most important features 20 years ago of Second Life was the unified experience and creation in the same environment. Today, if I want to be in an immersive world with my Quest visor, or in the more modern VR environments, I have to exit the world in order to create, and then import what I created in the world, completely breaking the experience.
Well,
So I
this is
hope
sort of,
this will go back to the ability to create in world and
well,
instantiate objects like we used to do 20 years ago with
no,
Second Life.
20 years ago it was obviously, without going into a debate on it, and the problem is we are thinking about one platform over another, because every feature is depending on the platform we're in. So some metaverses can already let you do that, which is very important to say. For example, Spatial himself lets you create a portion of the environment while you're inside of it with little to no limits. But furthermore, there are other places in which you can literally create the whole place on your own. For example, Rec Room or other applications like them. It depends on the metaverse we are dealing with. But the point is, in the future, as technology improves, these limitations will dissolve completely, and we will think of it as a nightmare from the past. Just like you said, 20 years ago, it was easier to do it in 3D environments that were not VR compatible. So improving on the VR compatibility is the challenge of today's technology, keeping the VR and what we have
Thank
already.
you. Thank you, Enrico. And we have now Patrizio, who will tell us about the improvement of the learning experience and how we can make it more efficient and effective. Patrizio?
Thank you, David. Well, actually, from my personal experience, virtual reality and in general extended reality can exponentially improve the individual learning process. We all know that after the COVID pandemic, we've been shifting the attention on the person, and this is the most important goal and target. So whenever we speak about lifelong process, we really need to remember that at the end, we all learn at a different pace. So the advantage of all these new technologies is to give everyone the possibility to learn according to his capabilities and to reinforce his learning. So by merging different technologies, like can be a physical event, like virtual streaming, virtual reality, people can really improve their learning. And there is very important research to say that unfortunately, since 2022, so it was last year, the skill mismatch exceeded 50%. That means in every organization, 1 out of 2 people, okay, doesn't have the needed skills to perform their job, their task at their best. So this is bringing every single organization to reconsider, okay, their vision to use technology to reinforce learning and to think also what will be the scope in the long term to achieve long-term sustainability. Okay, so this is a great opportunity, especially when we think about the millennials, because we know that millennials learn in a different way, and we all managers, executives, entrepreneurs must take this into consideration whenever we want to expand our company growth and share our vision with everybody, including them, and give them the possibility to upscaling their knowledge and their competence.
I was expecting you mentioning not only millennials, but Gen Z as well, and proudly announcing the TikTok channel that the chapter is about to launch with the various dance moves. I'm sure Luca is already planning how to integrate it in the next generation of the app.
Well, there are a lot of news coming on, but we don't want to disclose all of them at once. So we keep the audience, following us on our web app. So that's the scope, okay, to share our project. And as my previous colleague said already, well, this is an open source approach. So everybody is most welcome to contribute. I think this is also part of our scope of being together today, to gathering people from all over the world and asking their contribution to improve what we've been doing and sharing our knowledge with everybody else.
Absolutely. First of all, the chapters, and thank you, Patrizio, for sharing your thoughts. The other chapters globally at Singularity University who can take full advantage of the opportunity of using the web app that the Milan chapter designed and released in open source. So I welcome Anuka and Darlene, who are connected from California, maybe, or somewhere else. And I would like to invite them to comment maybe a little bit about what they heard today, and then, of course, share with us more about the impact projects that are kind of an experiential learning itself. As we were preparing for this event, we commented on the fact that it is one thing to provide digital tools to enhance one's ability to understand certain topics, but when you actually get your hands dirty and you touch concretely and directly the lives of people as they are improved and their opportunities broadened through these wonderful tools that we use daily, that is really uplifting, that is really providing value. So I am adding your slides, Darlene, and you are now in control. And Anuka and Darlene, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, David. And thank you for having us here. As you said, like this example of this app and the Milan Chapters project is one of many examples that I would like to show you and talk to you a bit about how our community works, how our chapter works, and how all of these tools can be used in so many different ways to create impact in your communities. So from the community and impact team, the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about is our mission, which is the broader sense of what we do and how we do it here at Singularity. And as many of you probably know, our mission is to impact 1 billion people over 5 years. And chapters, as the Milan chapter is, are the clear example of that extended global community of amazing leaders that are trying to create amazing things, to improve education, to solve challenges in their community or globally, and to really make tangible change in the community. One of the biggest learnings that we've had at Singularity, and specifically through the Chapters program, is that it is not enough to just talk. It is not enough to just read or to just hear something. We need to get to doing and to experiencing the tangible change that we can do, and to really testing and going through that experimentation process, and working together towards something that really creates tangible change in the community, in the world, in our personal lives, however that may apply. And chapters have been one of the biggest examples of that. So I'll tell you a bit about how the chapters work and what the structure is very, very quickly. So you already know about the Milan chapter and what they did. And that's what chapters do around the world. They're impact communities led by global ambassadors. They have chapter members helping out, and they build community and work on impact goals or impact projects. So the idea of these impact projects and how they look like is, again, the Milan chapter is one of the best examples, and we have other chapters all over the world. Yes, Arlene, you can leave the map there. Yeah, we have so many chapters over the world, and I hope that we can get more chapters next year. We're going to open annual applications, and we have chapters volunteering their time, doing amazing change in their communities. And another learning, besides the talking, moving from talking to doing, is also collaboration instead of competition. So healthy competition is great, pushing ourselves, striving to be better, but we truly believe that building bridges is what makes things happen. Focusing on the purpose and really looking for other people who are doing so many similar things and who are striving to achieve the same goals, who have similar vision, who have a similar ideas, and who want to achieve the same thing, and trying to build those bridges for us to collaborate. And again, the Milan chapter is an amazing example here because of what you were saying and how this app is there for people to use and to implement. It's about democratizing the access to these resources. We are at a moment when it is the first time that we have direct access to so much technology, to so many resources, knowledge, and information. It can actually be a bit overwhelming. And it is the time to really build the bridges to collaborate and work together towards the same goals, and how this app, how other projects can come together and really create amazing things in so many different levels, so many different topics and areas. And that is just amazing to see, seeing this type of project come to life in a year, being scaled right now, and trying to get more people to use it, implement it, make it better, and apply it to their events and the workshops and the projects is pretty amazing. So talking a bit more about what these impact projects look like. So we have different type of projects regarding impact at Singularity, and chapters are the core of it, the main example with their impact goals. But there's also other alumni or community members, alumni of other projects, companies that are in our network that can come together and collaborate in projects. And we're going to give you some examples of how this look like, so that we can all get an idea of what experimenting and just getting to do really looks like. The idea of these initiatives is to be obviously impact-oriented, positive impact, either locally or globally. We use the Sustainable Development Goals so that it aligns in a structure of a different range of topics of what is it that you're trying to solve or improve. And they include, obviously, technology and how technology can be used for that impact and social change. So I'm going to give you a few examples, a few of the amazing examples that we've had last year. So the Milan chapter was one of 4 amazing winners in 2022 for Best Impact Awards. So what we are doing is that it was the first time that we experimented with this. It was actually the first year that we had impact projects happening, and it was an amazing experience, so much learning in the go. And we had other chapters also win this award. And what we did is evaluate each chapter's work throughout the year and pick the ones that we believe that were best for the sake of giving, again, visibility, awarding the people that are doing the best work. But again, from a lens of collaboration and from a lens of coming together, learning from each other, and really congratulating each other on the great work. And I have some examples like the Ribeirão Preto chapter here, who is another award winner from last year in Brazil. This is, I believe the team has grown right now, but last year I remember meeting with Matthews. He's the primary global ambassador of this chapter. He was talking to me about the fact that he didn't have much support and he was trying to work on this project and he was still figuring things out. And then being able to see the advancement of his ideas and his project was amazing. So what did he do? He looked for support to to think about solutions to a problem that was happening in his community and his country in general as well, which is that teenagers and youth were dropping out of school, and he wanted to understand better what was happening. So I love the process that he followed, because I feel that some of those steps might seem obvious, but we tend to forget to do them sometimes. We jump into solutions way too quickly, but he focused on gathering data first. So they did a survey with people between 15 and 25 years. They gathered over 1,000 responses to gather data on what were they thinking, what did they want, what were they thinking about their future, and understand better what were the reasons that they were dropping out of school and how to help them and provide support to youth. So after analyzing the data, they created a workshop that was delivered to 120 students in a public school in Brazil, and they introduced a bit about exponential technology, the exponential mindset, and tried to really guide them and teach them about all of the opportunities that are out there for them to do amazing things, all of the opportunities to take advantage of whatever path they choose to create amazing things. And the motivation and the inspiration that came out of it is just amazing. So reading the testimonies of these teenagers was just so heartwarming. It's incredible. I picked one just to share with you on this slide because it's like the shorter one that I could find. All of them felt that there was so much value in the workshop and what they did. So they want to continue doing great things with youth and in their communities. And this is an example of how just coming together with a few people, getting the right support, talking to the school and making things happen, and impacting over 100 students that now have this information and this motivation to apply to their lives. Another great example is the Warsaw chapter in Poland. Same as the Milan chapter, they have been around for such a long time. This is a women-led and women-founded Warsaw team, and they also have a foundation, and they do amazing work. They educate teachers and students in rural areas in Poland around eco-related issues, sustainability, climate change, and anything related to eco issues. And they really try to target teachers, because teachers are the ones that then teach students as well. And they ended up reaching a lot more people than they thought. They ended up reaching over 6,000 students and hundreds of teachers. And they continue doing this amazing work of educating people in rural areas that do not get the same access to the same information and resources as we do on eco-related topics, so that they can continue having really up-to-date information to be able to educate their kids. As we know, the education system has its challenges, and it's very important to be up-to-date and to really get to those places where this information doesn't get as easily as it might for us here. And finally, another chapter that had the award last year that I wanted to mention is the Buenos Aires chapter. So this chapter in Argentina, also been around for a long time. They participated in some singularity events long time ago, around 2015. And they brought the inspiration from those events and those programs to create something directed to Latin American youth. So what they wanted is to really help and educate future entrepreneurs that do not have the financial needs to be able to attend one of these programs to be educated around exponential technology. So they created a 10-week program, completely free, a virtual program around exponential technology for Latin American youth. They had 40 students last year. It was such an amazing success. They collaborated with University of San Andres in Buenos Aires, which is a very well-known university there. And they also collaborated with a partner that we have in Colombia to be able to get some support. They got all of the experts to donate their time and deliver the sessions to these 40 students and create this 10-week program. And they want to continue doing it. They want to continue doing it for free and having people join all over Latin America to get access and learn about exponential technology, exponential mindset, how to apply this to their projects, ideas, and visions so they can bring to life all of their hopes, all of their ideas and entrepreneurships. So these are some examples of how people just came together and make things happen. And I think that one of the amazing things happening here is, again, the collaboration and the bridges. Using the Milan app can really improve some of these learning experiences and these programs happening. It's so important to really build these bridges, collaborating, come together so that we can create tangible change in our communities. And for me, it's just an honor to be able to participate in helping chapters continue doing the amazing things that they want to do and helping them out to connect each other and really take advantage of the technologies that we have at hand right now and make something amazing out of it. So yeah, thank you. Those were my examples. I'm gonna leave this to you now, Darlene.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And I just want to emphasize what both David and what Anuka have been saying about the importance of collaboration. These are all impact projects, right? So part of the purpose is to go out and solve a real problem in the world, but also to emphasize that in the world today, in this world that's moving so fast, this world of exponential change, of accelerating change, this is how we learn. Solving problems, collaborating with each other is how we learn. During the Milan chapter's presentation, I was writing down all of the different technologies they have used, virtual reality, NFTs, the metaverse, chat GPTs, blockchain, DAOs, then also dealing with issues like privacy law, teaching kids or people how to dance in the future. Like if you think about, say you wanted to learn about any one of those topics, you could, sign up to study that for 2 years at a school, or you could join the Milan chapter or the Buenos Aires chapter or, any of our different chapters around the world and learn firsthand about these exponential technologies from your peers. And, that's how I believe that we're going to change the world and that all of us are going to come along together. I wanted to give you just a couple more examples of impact projects. Singularity, we've been around for over a decade, so we have tens of thousands of alumni, and they're each going off. Some of them are running chapter impact projects. Some have companies and are using corporate innovation to create new products and services. Some are governments or nonprofits or startups that have different projects. Two really interesting ones that are happening right now is that an alumni of one of our executive programs, Jason Coker of Together for Hope, is the leader of Together for Hope, which is addressing poverty in rural America. And this is a huge challenge, probably one that you don't hear about in the news as enough. And Chris Ewald, who's on our team at Singularity and who's here, and also Patricia, who's leading our chapter in Arkansas, are also collaborating on this. That one of the ways that one of the projects that they're working on is they're working with the World Data Lab, which is also run by one of our faculty from Singularity University, Wolfgang Wengler. And World Data Lab, it has data in real time about topics like poverty, about healthcare, about education. And the project is, how can we look at the Mississippi Delta and better understand the data about poverty, healthcare, education, because that data doesn't exist now. And if you want to create an intervention, if you want to change a policy or start a new nonprofit or a new startup, you need to understand what the problem is. So that's an early project that we're working on today. And another part of this is that while Jason initially came to Singularity, to sit in the audience and learn about the technology, he and Patricia will be coming to Singularity to speak at one of our executive programs, to speak about the social impact challenges that they are dealing with. And they are also the experts. So we really care about, technologists, entrepreneurs, social innovation leaders. We all teach one another, and that's how we change the world together. Another project, this one was started in 2016 by a woman named Hla Win. She grew up in Myanmar and was a school teacher there. And she had a dream of setting up a school. She had rented a building to train teachers and to help them modernize the way that they teach, to make it student-centered. And she came to Singularity University and learned about augmented reality and virtual reality, and realized that in her country, the infrastructure was there. People had smartphones and access to the internet. And so she built a startup, the first edtech startup in Myanmar, and was serving hundreds of thousands of kids and helping them access a world-class education. She had just launched a contract with the Ministry of Education to transform the entire curriculum of the country into augmented reality. And then, of course, the civil war broke out in Myanmar, and that also, COVID hit. And during that, as an entrepreneur, it was awful. The banking system shut down. Her startup got destroyed, but her technology lived on, and she saw the kids were still learning. And she became a refugee. She had to flee the country with her family. And but in the process, because of our digital infrastructure, she kept her company still going and even launched a new product as she was fleeing around the world. And she had to rebuild everything, but she now has twice the number of students today as she did when the war and pandemic broke out. Kids in Myanmar have not been back to school in 3 years. So other parts of the world have recovered. Kids are going back into the classroom or different things. So this is an example of a tech solution that is really, one of the only options that kids have in her country. And, I'm so thankful for her work. She's also very active with the Singularity community. She spoke to another one of our chapter ambassadors, Bernice Swabu, who is leading an initiative on the Uganda-Congo border in a refugee settlement there. So again, lots of collaboration, lots of ways to learn, just amazing people, everyone that we've heard from and learned about today. So thank you for letting us present and share these amazing stories. If you're listening to this, join a chapter, join the Milan chapter, join one of our other chapters. Think about ways that you can showcase these stories of innovators. Our world, there's so many challenges today, but there's also so many solutions.
Thank you, Darlene. Thank you, Anuka. And I am actually showing a comment we are receiving from Buenos Aires, where they would like to get in touch with the local chapter. And we received a lot of other comments as well from the various channels where we are active. And now I would like to invite back everyone, because we will together look at and comment on the results of our brief survey, and then answer the questions that we also received. So sharing my screen with the results of the survey. First, quickly, let's look at what the people who responded say. Are you excited that augmented learning will replace traditional education? The vast majority are very excited about this opportunity. And they also believe that almost every field will benefit from a positive impact of this type of approach. As I hover over the results, you can see not only the average of the various responses, but also the distribution. There are people who feel that social sciences and economics will benefit less. There is a consensus that healthcare will benefit a lot, as well as hard sciences. And it is interesting that some people feel that art and literature will not. Maybe those people didn't see what Midjourney and DALL-E and ChatGPT are actually doing. I personally find it a delicious surprise that for decades we've been saying, oh, blue collar workers will be automated away. And now we find creative professions almost in a panic by the impact of the newest AI driven technologies. Interesting, either a long time, 10 years, or a short time or medium time, but no one thinks is 7 years, while the augmented learning approaches will actually replace traditional methods of education. Maybe the way that this question was formulated is a little aggressive. I don't know what we mean actually by replacing. We'll see when schools will stop being compulsory, because as long as the schools are compulsory in their current way, not everyone will be able to take advantage of these new tools. That actually means that teachers will not necessarily have to cope with what it means to adopt these new tools, because if the schools stay the same, then teachers can afford to stay the same. Now, of course, there are wonderful teachers who experiment and embrace whether it is just simply live streaming on YouTube. Next week, I will be giving a talk at a high school where the local teacher of philosophy has 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, as he publishes lessons about history and philosophy, and it is an amazing result. But a lot of teachers feel uncomfortable with new technologies, unfortunately. There is a kind of even distribution. Physical events are appreciated. It is the winner. So Milan chapter, please organize physical events. And let's go to the questions. So I alerted you in our private chat that I will try to find one of you and call you out to answer the question, and that I would like you to answer in 1 minute. We have 9 questions. I will read the question, then ask one of you to answer, and we shouldn't take more than 10 minutes to answer all the questions, maybe 12. So this is, I think, for Gianluigi. What features and technologies should we incorporate as we evolve the approach we are using today?
Well, as we deal with exponential technologies, and myself, both as a data protection lawyer and as a researcher in brain-computer interfaces and human enhancement, I would bet on both haptic sensors for the world of virtual reality and the metaverse, which could improve the sensorial experience of learning, thinking about life science and so on, by touching materials, by interacting more emotionally even. And on the other side, with brain-computer interfaces, or even wearable stimulation devices that can interact directly with the brain. On the other side, as a researcher in neuroprivacy, I would also warn about the usage of these kind of technologies and implementation, because there's always a dark side, which can be, for
You are
instance,
exceeding the allotted time of 1 minute, Patrizio, but thank you. And let's go to the next question. For Anuka, can the Singularity University headquarters support the spreading of this approach to other chapters? And if yes, how?
Yes, for sure. I think we are already thinking about ways of supporting more the Milan Chapters project, the app, and as I said, the collaboration. We have several ways that we want to do that. The first is internal. So we have an internal way that we're trying to implement new platforms and ways for chapters to collaborate with each other. That is one way. We also have marketing strategies in place that we're now thinking on how to use to give a bit more visibility to what's happening and spreading the word. And I was just talking to my colleague as well, like literally a few minutes ago in the middle of the event, of ideas of other chapters that could take advantage of this app and how we could connect them directly as well. So I would say that's definitely one of our main roles and purpose this year, is to spread the idea to the rest of the chapters and be the bridge to collaborate. Did I answer? Great.
We probably lost David for a minute.
Yes, that's what it seems.
I'm sure it's going back to us.
He was so much impressed by your answer, Anuka. Okay.
Frozen in place in
Thank you.
astonishment.
Well, to save time, we can also discuss about the previous question. So if anyone else has an opinion on how new technologies can be embedded in our web app, is welcome to take the floor, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking about digital twins and how there's so much ability for us to be able to predict what's going to happen next that'll be coming from technology in the next 5 to 10 years. So how do we as people deal with those predictions? You know, how much do we trust them? Or how do we incorporate knowledge about the future into our life? I think that's a big challenge.
Thank you for self-organizing while I was gone for a few seconds here. And back to the questions. Maybe this could be answered by Luca. Do you believe that while staying open source, the project of the app can become an entrepreneurial initiative?
I would say it's a win-win. So, for example, what we are using as the backend, as the database, it's called Supabase. And for the people that are in the web development environment, it's the alternative to Firebase. So it's actually an alternative to what Google built for people to create applications without caring about the servers. And we are using Supabase, and they are also monetizing on it. They are offering a free tier, and they are also offering their product for you to host on your servers. So if you have the knowledge, if you have the skills, you can take their code and make it run on your servers. So it's totally possible to have both sides of the product. Have the open source way, in which you also spin up a community of people that are interested in using it and improving it, and then also having a product that benefits
Perfect.
from the community.
Thank you. Next question. So this question could go to me. I will answer the question because I am absolutely excited about ChatGPT, GPT-4, as well as a signatory of the open letter that invites caution in further deploying even more powerful models that could exhibit latent features, unexpected behaviors that we are still exploring with the current ones. So definitely the integration of ChatGPT and generative AI in so many different ways is something that everyone should experiment. And it absolutely turbocharges and catalyzes your own thinking. My personal motto is, what is the question that I should be asking? And I am always asking ChatGPT what are the questions that I should be asking about any topic that we are exploring together. So definitely. How can I learn from past events? Gianluigi, can you help answer this question?
Yes, of course. The web app is open, so once a subscriber or a user enter the web app, can find all the previous events. And this is also a way to even deepen the topics, because after the live stream of the event, even the who followed the event itself could go back to restudy, to check again the information and so on. So it's a loop circle, I would say, and this enhance again the life of the learning process.
Wonderful. So there are a few more questions, but we don't have the time to answer all of them. This is one reason to ask smart questions, because then others will like them and they will vote them. And so they will answer faster or first rather than remaining last. So whoever you were, whose questions we couldn't answer, we feel extremely sorry. But at the same time, the challenge is on you to formulate questions that are intriguing and interesting so that others will vote for them. Now, the next phase of the way that we organize events here at the Milan chapter of Singularity University is to terminate the streaming and to reconvene on Zoom for another half an hour of networking, where together with our active speakers, the attendees can also become active. And sometimes we recommend people to grab something to drink as if we were together, to say digitally hello and substitute what the physical networking would represent. So I want to thank everyone, Patrizio, Enrico, Luca, Gianluigi, Darlene, Anuka, as well as, of course, Giovanni and Maria and Saverio and everyone who participated Roberto, and so many really of the people who make up the heart and the core of the Milan chapter. Maybe there will be other international events that we will organize, and in that case we will again use English. Ma per i prossimi incontri torneremo all'italiano in modo da essere inclusivi per tutti i partecipanti. Intanto grazie. And in the private chat, Luca is alerting me that you can also join the Zoom event directly clicking on the web app in the appropriate link that I will have a hard time sharing. But if you are on the web app, you already have the link, so I don't need to give you the URL.
It's right under the video streaming. So
there you go. There you go. It will be very easy. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I am going to end the stream now. You can wave your hand while I am doing that.